All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Doing the final touches here on week one, giving you guys some fades, some stacks, some sleepers, some values, core plays, and a last look build. Let's go ahead and get in. I do want to start this video, though, touching on kind of the unfortunate news that we got. A lot of you guys probably know from the video coverages earlier on this week that I was going to be pretty much going in on my Green Bay Packers. They had a really good matchup. It was kind of just the ideal spot for a quarterback making his first NFL start. Getting his first significant playing time. Jordan Love going against the Chicago Bears, whose defense didn't look that good. He looked really good this preseason. I still think he's someone we can play a little bit of, but he's not exactly someone we need to be going out of our way to play like he was earlier on this week. And man, I'm very sad about it. Like, he was coming in at lower ownership, and so were kind of the stacking opportunities as well. It was looking like it was going to be a huge edge for us. So it does suck. It seems like people probably don't even notice that he was going to be like that good of a play, and that's what's frustrating. Like, casuals will probably see him maybe not have that good of a game because, well, Christian Watson's going to be out. Romeo Doubs is currently banged up with a hamstring injury. Like, the reasons why we liked him as a play is because they're finally healthy and getting a good matchup. So with Christian Watson out, with Romeo Doubs potentially sitting with a hamstring injury, we do have to adjust how good of a play he is. He still had a very good price tag. Still has a good chance that 3x, maybe the 4x opportunity there is not going to be. That being said, I do still think we have the potential to run out a stack with Luke Musgrave. He might actually get a bump because of those two players potentially sitting. Like, that's going to open up a lot of targets and a lot of offensive production as well. I think we might just see Aaron Jones rushing the football a lot, and I actually kind of like him a little bit more than I did at the start of the week. And then as well, we are getting some potential value. We don't exactly know who it's going to be. I think a lot of people are going to be on Jaden Reed, actually. And yeah, just looking at his ownership on the 9-to-5 optimizer there, not pulling in any just yet. That's going to be something that updates most likely tomorrow morning or maybe this evening as well. But all in all, in week one, I really don't think we need to be worrying about ownership too much. Now let's just go ahead and get into my favorite stacks for the week, okay? So once again, I do really feel like on the top end, like, we really don't need to spend up that much at quarterback, especially if we're trying to round out some stacks. Like, the best logical stack and opportunities that we have is going to be with Justin Herbert, at least for the top end quarterbacks. You could easily fit Justin Herbert in with Austin Eckler if you want to. I don't mind that. I do think that this game does have a chance to be an extremely high scoring game. This is one of my favorite games to stack, especially with the softer pricing that we are getting with the week one slate. So you could easily just honestly blindly click because we have Keenan Allen at an interesting price tag. I do expect him to be the focal point of this offense like he has been really in camp and last season. We know that with Justin Herbert at the quarterback position in games that Keenan Allen has started and finished, he averages over 10 targets per game. I mean, that is just insane, and we're getting him at 7.3 in a favorable game. I don't mind Mike Williams as well. Like, he is expected to play in the slot a little bit more. The question is, do we really need to go in on this game that much? That's for you guys to decide, but obviously you could easily run it back with someone like Mostert, who is expected to get a little bit more work. And then honestly, you could easily go Tyreek Hill as well. You still have a lot of salary left over. I shouldn't say a lot, but enough. Like, DST wise, play the lowest priced one. You could play Luke Musgrave at the tight end position. And then with all of the insanely good values that I'll be touching on later on, you could easily fit them into your flex. Like, if you're really trying to game stack that game hard. Now, easily you could go with Tua instead of Justin Herbert. I think Herbert has a little bit more upside. Then from there, let's talk about some other stacks that we have. Like Trevor Lawrence, I really don't mind as well at 6.5. The issue that I have with Trevor Lawrence is that he was really inconsistent. And I think we saw that against the Chargers in the wildcard game. He was really trash in the first half, and then the second half, elite. It was so strange, and that's literally just been him as a quarterback thus far. He'll miss some very easy throws, like wide open throws, and then hit a 50-yard deep bomb right on the dot. So tough to say exactly which Trevor Lawrence we're going to get in week one. Obviously, another year to develop. You expect him to be a little bit better. And then the question is, who do we stack him with? I would say the easy answer to that is going to be Calvin Ridley at 6.5. Has been operating as kind of the receiver number one, is a play that I do like, especially if you are trying to stack. The question then becomes, do you want to go Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, maybe Evan Ingram? I don't know if we really need to do that. I don't hate the idea of going Travis Etienne. I don't love the idea, but it is a way to get unique. I do think he's going to be more of a pass catcher this season, and obviously he's much more of a big play guy. And I do think Tank Bigsby is going to be a little bit more involved than people think, but slight stacking opportunity there. Still, one of my favorite stacking opportunities that we have is going to be Russell Wilson. Pairing Russell Wilson with one of his pass catchers, going against that Las Vegas defense in which he had his two best games of the season last year against. Do you want to go with Courtland Sutton? I mean, I am. Guys, I think Courtland Sutton's a great pass play. Easily fit him into a stack. The question after that becomes, who is the receiver number 2 if Jerry Jeudy sits. Probably Marvin Mims, and he's minimum priced. Another one of those guys in which, man, we have so many good min price values out there. It is tough for me to even list them all off, honestly. Like, there are so many good in quotations, logical, I should say, value plays out there. And that's one of them. I would say the easier stack would be just these two against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't know what we want to do at the tight end position. Greg Dulcich is actually going to be operating more in the Joker role, apparently. We'll see what that means. Sean Payton has actually been turning to Adam Troutman a little bit more as the starting tight end. And if you guys are looking for min price value at the tight end position, maybe you look at him. I don't know what snap count we can predict for him. He has been the one that was on the field with the starters, though. Maybe 60% of the snaps, maybe get you like 4 fantasy points. At 2.5, not terrible. Like, you're just punting there. And then a play that I've just gone on more and more as really week 1 has gotten closer and closer is Derek Carr at 5.3 going against the Tennessee Titans. This should be a good matchup. We know the Titans really struggled defensively last season. They're kind of expected to struggle again this season. And we look at the weapons that Derek Carr has, they're all very good, especially given the fact that they're pretty banged up at the running back position. They might just end up throwing the football a lot. So you got Chris Olave at 6.5. I don't know if I actually want to go that route. I think I'd rather go with Michael Thomas. I think he has a good chance to give us double-digit DraftKings points. Obviously, we're hoping to get lucky with the touchdown. And then the play that I really like this week, and I'm kind of mad at DraftKings for pricing them up, because if we look at some of the other markets like sportsbooks, maybe Prize Picks, Underdog, heck, DK Sportsbook, FanDuel, this price would seem to be too sharp, I would say. But the reason why I like Juwan Johnson is a bunch of reasons, really. I guess you look at the way Kyle Pitts has been getting hyped up for the past 3 seasons. Oh, he's a receiver playing tight end. I'm like, no, Juwan Johnson is literally a receiver playing tight end. And who's his quarterback? Derek Carr. Who did Derek Carr essentially make? Whose career did he make? Darren Waller. Okay, like, you guys see where I'm going there. Derek Carr favored the tight end position. He's probably going to do that again. And now at 3.9, I do think he might be a little bit too priced up on this slate, given the decent value that we have at the tight end position. But Juwan Johnson is someone we can roll with. And then personally, guys, I actually think you could run it back with Burks or Hopkins. I don't hate that idea. A sneaky kind of dumb stack would be Matthew Stafford with Tyler Higbee, or maybe one of his values. It's a cheap way to get some kind of value if you're trying to look for a value stack. And don't get me wrong, the Rams are expected to be terrible. And you look at the weakness of Seattle last season, it was the run game. So this would definitely be unique, but we do have some value out there, whether it's Tutu Atwell, Puka Nacua, you could easily pair him up with. And then honestly, Tyler Higbee gets a great matchup. He is priced up as well, a very sharp pricing there. But with Cooper Kupp banged up, that's not a terrible one to go with as well. And then let's just finish up here. I still do like the idea of running out Jordan Love. I just like the talent. I think he's going to be able to rush the football a lot. And it's honestly just a good price, good matchup. Does suck that, you're taking out a top, let's say 40 receiver. So people don't get mad at me for gassing up Christian Watson. And you're replacing him with an undrafted rookie free agent, most likely in Malik Heath, who had a great preseason, or Torrey. Either way, not great. But you could run out maybe Jaden Reed, and you could run out maybe Luke Musgrave. It's a cheap stack. We're trying to get lucky, trying to get 3X on all of them, which if Jordan Love does have a good game, if Matt LaFleur is able to have a great game, it's not too hard to see for me. But really, I think Sam Howell is probably going to be a play that a lot of people are just paying down for. Sam Howell going against the Arizona Cardinals, a team that is expected to be bad this season, a team that is expected to lose by 7 points. Sam Howell makes a lot of sense then if they are going to be scoring that much. Okay, he does get his number 1 receiving option back for that game as well. Then you also have Jahan Dotson at a very cheap price tag. The possibilities are there to stack him in that game. So let's just go ahead and talk about the top value plays then at each position. At quarterback, you guys should already kind of know which ones I was looking at. Sam Howell, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, and Jordan Love still a little bit. At the running back position, let's just take a peek at it. And what I want to be looking for is really going to be players below 5K. Now, that being said, obviously Mostert's right there at 5.4, could roll with him. And then we also like Tank Bigsby. I do think he's going to be in a bigger role than a lot of people imagine. Sure, he fumbled in that last preseason game, but he fumbled with the starters. Like, that was a good series that he had. We might be seeing like a 40-60 split. 40 for Tank Bigsby to start and 60 for Etienne. And then from there, obviously, we got the Colts players. Zach Moss is currently doubtful. To me, that kind of just makes me want to be playing Deion Jackson just at that price. Regardless of game flow, I feel like he's going to be involved. He's a good pass catcher. We saw that last season. And he's not a terrible runner. They just need to give him the workload. They might be afraid to do that, though. You know, in college, he never handled that big of a workload. That might be the biggest issue with him. But that's kind of the obvious value there at the running back position. Let's go and jump into the receiver position. So once again, mostly looking at players below 4K here for values. Okay, I would say Rondale Miller 4.2, not terrible there. But it's kind of like Elijah Moore. He's been someone that's been getting gassed up, getting hyped up a bunch in camp by the Browns. But you got to remember last year that happened for the Jets as well, and he ended up being a complete disappointment. My worry about Elijah Moore is that he's going to give us the Sky Moore treatment, which was the Elijah Moore treatment last year. You know, week 1, we saw on Thursday Night Football while Sky Moore basically just out there doing cardio. That was Elijah Moore last season for the Jets. That's my biggest worry, is like, unless you're scheming plays for him, it's just he's an afterthought in the offense. And I think that's going to end up being true. You got DPJ on the outside, who's not terrible. You got David Njoku at the tight end position. Once again, not terrible. And then obviously Amari Cooper, one of the best receivers in the league. Guys, best receiver, top 20. Well, yes, no one would argue that. And then obviously Nick Chubb, literally one of the best running backs in the league. So yes, it is a little bit more difficult to see Elijah Moore like getting heavily involved, but at the same time, 5 targets, maybe 5 receptions, 50 yards, like 10 DK points at 3.8. That is something that is definitely going to be intriguing. But do we even need to risk that at all with him? Because there is going to be so much value available on this slate. For Carolina, we know that DJ Chark is out. Maybe Marshall is someone that you're looking at. You also have Adam Thielen. That's probably going to be a good play. Maybe Jonathan Mingo gets involved. You know, we'll see. Ben Skoranek could end up playing in that Cooper Kupp role once again while he is out this season. He's priced at 3.2, an extremely low price tag. But for the Rams, like, we still have Tutu Atwell, an extremely cheap price tag. And we also have Puka Nacua, the really good rookie receiver from this preseason. He's someone that we should be looking at as well. And then from there, like, we still have Tank Dell, who could be in for a bigger role. Now, it is kind of expected second string. We'll see. You know, he looked very good this preseason. It wouldn't be surprising to see him pop off and have a really good game. And then going back to the Green Bay Packers, like, Jaden Reed is going to be on the field a bunch with Christian Watson out. Now, I don't really think that's going to change his role specifically. He's going to be operating out of slot. He's going to be doing what Randall Cobb did last year. Like, his role probably shouldn't change too much. And we might even see Aaron Jones split out a little bit more as well. That being said, like, it's tough to imagine him not getting a couple of catches at least. He should get targeted kind of heavily. Obviously had a really good play this preseason. But then again, like, I think we could see Malik Heath, who played with the starters in preseason week 3, and actually had his worst game doing that. Go figure, going against starters. He had his worst game as well. But he still didn't look bad. And opportunity is king. And at 3K, maybe we're looking at him as well. Like, it wouldn't be shocking to see him have a good game. If we get news that he is starting, guys, like Romeo Doubs is out and he's starting, definitely worth a look then in that aspect. And then, yeah, I think a lot of people are just going to be rolling with Marvin Mims. But maybe we're looking at like Brandon Johnson as well for the Denver Broncos as well. Like, Courtland Sutton's the obvious play. But then from there, it really just seems like a guessing game. And watch, he did bring in 2 other people from Champaign, brought in Lil Humphrey Jordan, and then he also brought in Marquez Callaway, both former Saints players. So I guess it wouldn't be shocking to see them maybe get a surprisingly decent role. But then that's kind of it. Like, I wish I could be like, yes, this is the clear cut, obvious receiver value play that we need to be going in on. I don't have that. I think the players that I have listed here are the best values that we have available on the slate. And now let's just close it up here with the tight end position. I already mentioned that Adam Trautman going to be the starting tight end, not someone like you're playing to bust the slate. You are playing him literally so he doesn't bust your build. Like, you're playing him to get 2 points because you really like to pay up for someone. That'd be the option you play him. And really the only other tight end play that I like, and I'm really just searching for players that are below 3K. Well, I guess Hayden Hurst at 3K, I don't mind. He's going to be a starting tight end for the Carolina Panthers. We always talk about rookie quarterbacks needing that security blanket in the tight end position. And actually, he made a freaking spectacular catch this preseason. But, you know, it wouldn't be surprising. Like, look at this production he had last year. I think that is what we're expecting. Like, literally 8.6 DraftKings points or so. And if he does that, especially with, and I'm talking myself into this, with DJ Chark out and maybe playing from behind, it's becoming more and more intriguing, especially for a team that wasn't the best against opposing tight ends. I might go with him over Luke Musgrave, but I think Luke Musgrave is a play. We always worry about rookie tight ends and how much they're going to play and really how good they are. Sam Laporta, who was just a freaking statue out there, had a decent game for the Lions on Thursday Night Football. That was enough for me to be like, all right, I'm fine firing up Luke Musgrave. We know he's going to have a role. Heck, the offense might flow through him in week 1. I like that as a value. And so that's really it, guys. Still, I don't really care about defense at all. Like, sure, honestly, the Las Vegas Raiders going against Denver, I know I've talked up Russell Wilson a lot, but they are going to maybe be without Jerry Jeudy. But I think a lot of people are just going to be going with the Commanders going against the Cardinals. Don't hate that as well. I typically just pay down for the lowest price defense, or the lowest price defense I don't see going negative. I really don't see any of these teams going negative, so probably just rolling with Houston. All right, guys, so now looking at kind of some ownership fades, and not even ownership fades. I really don't care too much about ownership in week one. We don't know as much as we think we know about these teams and about these players in week one. Thus, unless someone becomes extreme chalk, which I haven't seen any extreme chalk just yet, unless that occurs, then we'll change what we need to do. I will say, I do worry, and I love the price tag for him, don't get me wrong, but I do worry about the ownership of Jamal Williams because the information's been out there for long enough. A lot of people are prepared for him to get around 17 total opportunities, which obviously at 5.1 is going to be intriguing. Probably is going to get a few catches. The over and under is only set at 1.5 though, so not too crazy there. He's going to be involved. The biggest question is, do you want to play him over Mostert or Deion Jackson as like the other values that we probably need to be going out of our way to play? I don't know if that's the case. Like, I don't know if I want to be doing that. And I have been finding myself paying up for running backs a little bit more because we have such insanely good value at the receiver position. So that's kind of my stance on that. And then, yeah, with that being said, like, I don't like Justin Jefferson. I'm not fading. I have been going with Tyreek Hill over him, but yeah, I don't think we need to worry about ownership too much. I will say tight end position. I'm going a little bit of TJ Hawkinson and then really just paying down. I already mentioned Juwan Johnson. I think he's going to be a good tight end play, but then we can just pay down for a different, cheap option that I already mentioned. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my core plays for week one. And my conviction that I had at the start of the week or 2 weeks ago has since diminished a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But let's give it a try. So basically my top plays, considering their price tag at each position. Let's go ahead and start with Derek Carr. At the quarterback position, I just like the price tag of Derek Carr, 5.3. I feel like he's going to be extra motivated to play well this season. I think he's one of the lowest priced players. Now with Christian Watson being out for Jordan Love, I think he's one of the lowest priced quarterback plays that we can be on that has a really good chance to 3x. And he's pretty easy to stack as well. Given the fact that they are banged up at the running back position and it's a difficult matchup for running backs, I like Derek Carr. Now, I don't want to say I think Deion Jackson is a core play because like it seems ugly to say, but given game flow, it could happen. The worry is obviously Anthony Richardson really struggling to get him the football. But at the same time, maybe that's the exact reason why Deion Jackson is a good play because that's all Richardson sees is the short yards passes, the dump offs to him. Now we do have to worry, Evan Hall could have more of a role, but Deion Jackson does look good. He was the starter for the Colts this preseason. He's expected to be the starter again. So I would rather roll with him. I love the price tag, but the question is, do we need to pay that price tag? Because obviously we have someone like Josh Jacobs who is priceless though because of the contract situation. Seems like a mistake by them. Gets a decent matchup against Denver. I have been going out of my way to play Josh Jacobs still. And then just a couple of other running back plays that I really like. I still really like Aaron Jones. I just, with Christian Watson banged up, they're going to have to manufacture some other touches to some of their other big playmakers. And to me, given how young they are, you just want to give Aaron Jones a healthy workload. Now, we say that every single season, and it basically never happens, right? Like, we're like, give Aaron Jones a heavy workload, and it doesn't happen. That's the worry, but he does get a good matchup, and I do expect him to get a few targets in this game. Should be able to 2x, needs a big touchdown to be able to 3x. And then, honestly, Mostert, it was looking like a better play when HM was looking like he could sit. He's expected to play, but I still think Mostert in this game has a really good chance to 2x as well. Obviously, we wanted the 3x. All right, now looking at the receiver core plays, it's a little bit more difficult. I do think Keenan Allen is a good starting point. Going to be heavily targeted in that game, at least 10 targets in that game. Has a really good chance to break the slate. I also really like Tyreek Hill in that game as well. Like, if we are trying to go out of our way to play players in that game, I think those are going to be the two starting points. Once again, I do think that game is the best game to target. So Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, to me, are just natural starting points there. And then we could really dip down and go into some of these softer priced plays. Okay, let's go ahead and start out with Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin going against the Minnesota Vikings, a defense that really hasn't improved at all. To me, that is a smash spot. Let's go ahead and do that. The question then becomes, like, where are we going to be spending up? Because we have really good soft pricing. Like, I don't know if we need to play Jaden Reed, but we could. But we still have 5.9 left over to play Chris Godwin. So I like that. Let's switch Deion Jackson out of there because I want to open up the flex, because we still have some other good receiver plays like Courtland Sutton. I mentioned, guys, Courtland Sutton, even with Jerry Jeudy active, I would still like Courtland Sutton. Like I never got the price differences or the season outlook for those two players. Courtland Sutton is just at a cheap price tag. Let's go ahead and load him up. Once again, we still have 5.4 left over. Look at this. Our build is already coming together. Very nice. Perfect build. A lot of salary left over. Now, obviously, you would like to stack Derek Carr with someone, but it's working out pretty well. And now receiver-wise as well, are there any other players I would say as core plays? No, but like Deontay Johnson, guys, it feels weird not to be on him. Honestly, like I could easily see myself maybe paying up at the running back position, going with Eckler, going with CMC instead, and fitting Deontay Johnson in there instead of Tyreek Hill, instead of Keenan Allen. If you guys see a spot for you guys to upgrade, by all means, go ahead and do that. It does feel like a mistake not to be on him more than I am, or not to have him as a core play like Deontay Johnson at this price tag in this matchup. I do like it. It's not the best matchup, but it's not terrible as well. You should be able to have a good game. John Dotson still had a cheap price tag there as well. Tight end wise, I don't really have a core play. It's just however your build works out, however much salary you have left over. So here is my final look build here for you guys. Now, it's not because, we're all going to tinker, right? I'm recording this with a lot of hours left until lineup locks, so still going to tinker, but I do think this is a good starting point. Maybe some news comes out that we can adjust. But that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. Let's have a good slate this week. Let's start week 1 off right. Let's have a good slate. As always, let's keep cashing.